Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. So I got a bit of a serious video today. I mean, a lot of my videos are serious, but I'll try to be as lighthearted as I can because, life isn't all that serious. I think a lot of times we make life out to be a lot more serious than it is. Even though this is a serious topic, we could treat life a little bit less, take ourselves a little bit less serious sometimes. I think there's some value in that. I'm actually going to talk about, though, today's suicide, and I'm going to actually talk about a news event that happened, which was a Uber employee had killed himself. There's been some news articles on this. Someone emailed me and asked me to do a video on this. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So before I get into it, I do want to link you to a video. I did do a video previously on addressing suicide because I'm going to address this from a different angle here instead of just talking about, in that video, I talked about how it's just not a good option, that you might as well live your life as a free roll. Someone's actually commented on that. They're like, that's great advice. Telling someone to live their life as a free roll, that's shit advice. I don't even remember what they said, but the whole point is that, man, if you're at the point, and I guess I will rehash this slightly before I get into the content here or the article, is that if you're at the point in your life where you would consider taking your life, I'm not saying just like go crazy and like damn the consequences and like harm other people. I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying this. If you're at that point where you're so sick of your life, where you're so stressed out, where you would think about killing yourself, you might as well just think of your life. I mean, it'd be so much more beneficial to you to just go do a whole bunch of stuff that is crazy that you wouldn't want to do because of the consequences or the embarrassment or perceived consequences of it. Go live your life to the extreme. Go on the street and just yell and just go and go to a salsa dancing class in your underwear. I don't know, like do some crazy shit like that will light you up and give you some zest for you might as well do that stuff, right? You might as well do all the kind of stuff that you imagine. Go play video games and I don't know, go and do some crazy stuff. Like think of life as a free roll, right? And that's my biggest appeal to you that I could say. Again, I usually don't approach things from a moralistic viewpoint, but just from a pragmatic viewpoint that if you got nothing to live for, if you were just going to take it anyway, you might as well treat it as a free roll, then go do a whole bunch of crazy stuff and see if you can figure out some way to have some fun. I guarantee you, if you're like, I don't even care if I'm homeless, I don't even care what the consequences are, like I was going to kill myself anyway, so I might as well just have a whole bunch of fun, then just have a whole bunch of fun at least, right? Maybe you'll find yourself and figure something out and re-find your zest for life and realize that life isn't so serious, that that breaking up with your girlfriend or being rejected is not that big of a deal, that having so much stress from your job is not that big of a deal because you could just quit it and you could just, whatever. You know what I mean? That all of these things and all these things that happen, they're not that big of a deal. Life is not that serious. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Okay, that's my caveat here, or I don't know, not a caveat. I suppose this is just my general philosophy that I would say is why suicide is such a stupid idea is because I could go and say, you're going to hurt all these other people and it's not fair to them, but it's just dumb because you have an opportunity, right? It's almost like the golden ticket. It's like, well, if you really don't care anyway, if you got nothing to lose, because when you kill yourself, you lose everything, right? So why not just adopt the mindset, if you have that mindset of I've got nothing to lose, and then live your life like you have nothing to lose. Holy crap. I wish I could live my life like I have nothing to lose right now. I try to do it as much as possible. But if I were going to kill myself, I would do it 100%. I'd be like, fuck it. I don't even really care about the consequences. I'm just going to totally do what I want. Try that. Try that for a while, okay? And if that doesn't work, that'll keep you entertained till you're like 80 or 90. Then call Dr. Kevorkian and whatever. You're tired of living, then get a lethal injection. Fine, right? By that time it'll be legalized. It'll be euthanasia anyway. You see what I'm saying though? And for those of you that misunderstood the free roll thing, I'm not saying go out and harm people. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that hey, if you got nothing to lose, man, you might as well live your life like you got nothing to lose, and that might be a super blessing to have reached that point because everyone should be living their life like they got nothing to lose. We should be a little bit more we should be a little less risk adverse. And the more that I've been able to be free and live my life like that and not try and hold on to shit, right? I did this video on holding on to things too tightly. The more that I've been able to do that, the better my life has been. The more people I've been able to impact, the more raw I've been able to be. And the more truth that I've found, okay? And so you might have a gift. If you're on the verge of suicide, if you're contemplating suicide, you might have a gift right now, which might be that you can now say that you've got nothing to lose and you can start living your life that way. Sometimes the biggest burden, the biggest curse that you can have in life is to have success because you have so much to lose, to make a lot of money, to have a lot of things going for you, to have a really good job because you have so much to lose, and you perceive that, and that it's like fucking chains on your wrists. They called it the golden handcuffs for a reason, okay? And it's because you perceive that you have so much to lose, your actions are limited and you're afraid, you live in fear. But if you don't have that, okay, if you've come to the point where you're ready to actually kill yourself, then you don't have that. Then you have basically said, I am willing to lose it all. And if you are, that's a great way to live your life. It's such a shame to kill yourself at that point when you've reached the point where you're now in the freedom that most people won't ever experience in their life. So at least give me, do it. Give me the, the vicarious joy of living through you, knowing that you have nothing to lose and living that way, okay? And do that. You owe yourself that. Give yourself that opportunity. Don't take it when you're at the peak, when you've reached what you might call the peak of enlightenment. Honestly, like there's a chance there. So that's just a message for those of you at the very beginning who are contemplating this. Don't do it. Like that's so much better. Like you're where people should be almost, right? If you think about it in that context, we can always look at things from a different perspective, and things will always pass. Things will always change. Everything always passes. This too shall pass. Good words to keep in mind. All right, let's get into this a little bit here. So there were some articles. Basically, I'll give you the background on this. This Uber employee, he was a black man, African American, and I don't think that plays much into it. But of course, in the media and news likes to. He was super successful, making like $170,000 a year. Worked his way up, working for Uber, and he was under a lot of stress. Uber is a tough place to work. Okay, there's a lot of working hours, and it's a high stress environment. And obviously there's been stuff in the news with Uber. Same thing, I think, with Amazon. Apple's has, a lot of these companies have had their share of this kind of bad publicity. And I know I've read a lot of biographies, right? Elon Musk's companies, he's a slave driver. Jeff Bezos is, right? Steve Jobs was, right? It's the nature of some of these big beasts, okay? So I'm not saying that these companies and these places aren't stressful. So this gentleman, he couldn't take the stress, and he went to a psychologist or whatever, or psychiatric person. I don't know. Anyway, psychiatrist, psychologist, psychiatrist. I don't know. I don't prefer either of those, but they told him, at least they gave him good advice, like quit your job, like stop, like don't take this so seriously. But he couldn't. He felt just very stressed. He felt like he couldn't quit the job. Like he ended up shooting himself, and he has a wife and 2 kids. Very sad, very tragic. Very sad thing that happened. And here it is, right, in our industry, software developers, technology. I'll stand by what I said at the beginning of this video, but I do want to talk about this a little bit, and I want to talk about just this idea, like, the media, everyone wants to kind of blame this, and we sort of have this reaction, blame it on the company, blame it on the work environment. Oh, it's so bad, it's so harmful work environment. But you know what? It's your fucking fault. And I'll tell you why. Because you are responsible for the choices that you make in your life, right? I did this video on victim mentality. Don't watch it now, watch it later. But victim mindset, the link will be in the description. You can open it up in a new browser window. But you get to make those choices, okay? If you decide to work for a company and they're pushing you hard, and I've told you guys this so many times, if they're telling you got to work 60, 70 hours, okay, you can just say no. And you can just work 40, and you can accept the consequences that come from that. If they fire you, They fire you. That's fine, okay? But you choose it. If you choose to take that money and to take that job and to work that 60 or 70 hours a week, that's you. That's your choice. It's not the company's fault. It's not someone being a slave driver, right? You got to take responsibility for your life. Now, am I blaming this guy that killed himself? Not exactly. I mean, what I would say, there's two sides to this, right? Okay, one side of this is essentially he was ignorant in some respect because he didn't know what I'm telling you now. That's why I'm telling it to you now. That's why I'm actually doing this video. Is he didn't understand this, that he was responsible, that he had the power to choose in his life. He felt like his life did not belong to him, probably. He probably felt like it was out of control, like it was out of his hands, like someone else was pulling the strings and he let them. And because he felt that way, if you study any psychology on happiness, right? I'm reading a book now called, oh shit, what is it called? It's like Stumbling on Happiness, okay? You can check it out. I haven't finished reading the book, but a pretty funny book, actually. But if you read any kind of study on happiness, what's the number one factor? What's the number one factor that humans need in order to feel happy in life? Control. It's control. It's feeling like their actions matter, that they actually have control over their environment, right? In the book, he talks about how a toddler knocks over a stack of blocks and is giggling and is happy because they're happy because they realize that they can control their environment. They can change the environment. They have the ability to affect the world. If you don't have the ability to affect the world, you're not going to be happy. I love doing this YouTube channel because I get to affect the world. I get to affect your lives. I get to help people, and that's what I want to do, right? So what am I saying here? Is that I'm not trying to blame him. I mean, it's a tragic thing when someone kills themselves, but it came from an ignorance of not understanding that he did have that control. It came from giving up that control. And when you give up that control and you let circumstances define you and tell you that you have to do this, when you start using the words, I have to do this instead of I get to this is a really powerful transition in words. Stop saying I have to. Start saying I get to or I choose to, because that is the truth of the reality. No one is putting a gun to your head unless they're putting a gun to your head. And even at that point, you still have a choice. It's not a very good choice. I agree. You should probably do what someone who puts a gun to your head tells you to do. But you still need to own that choice and understand that your life is in your control. And you need to understand something else as well, which is this, is that, like I said earlier in this video, all things will pass. All things pass, okay? There was a quote, I can't remember exactly, it came from maybe it was Seneca, and he basically said that, pain is either intense and short in duration or long or low in intensity, right? So I think that's a really good, important thing to, like, you're either gonna have a lot of pain and then die and it will end, or you're gonna have like a little pain and maybe that'll go for a long time, right? But it's never gonna be a heavy pain for a long time. That doesn't happen, right? One way or the other, it resolves itself, even if it just you become numb or used to it, right? So my point is this, it's like when shit is happening in your life, yeah, okay, maybe it sucks to lose your job or quit your job from Uber, okay, and you're making $170,000. But that's gonna suck for a little bit, okay? And then life is gonna get better. And maybe maybe you go through some crazy shit. Maybe you go some crazy shit with a divorce or break up with your girlfriend or all kinds of stuff that could happen, all right? Or a big loss, a loss in life. I'll point to a video I did on why there is no such thing as loss, but a perceived loss. It's a gain in perception, but it's gonna pass. Just like everything else in life. And there will be a time, I talked to someone about depression and I was talking about how, like, you know what, all of this pressure, all this, I got to get somewhere in my career and all these people are older than me or younger than me and they're doing better than me and all this. I said, man, you know what, you're not going to starve, at least, in the United States here, and you'll figure something out. Even if you have to flip burgers, fuck it, like it's fine, right? But, you're always going to be able to go and hang out with a couple of buddies okay, and have a pizza, and that pizza is going to taste good, and that conversation you have with those buddies is going to be fun, and you're going to enjoy it, and that's what life is, right? I mean, that's like the pinnacle of life is going and having a couple of laughs with some buddies and eating a pizza, right? You know, I'm being, you know, a little bit funny here, but you get my point. Is like you will always have that capacity for joy in life. You're going to have that capacity, and so. When you forget that, see, when you lose hope, when you think that it's never going to be happy again or it's never going to be good again, you're wrong, because it doesn't take much. All it takes is a couple of buddies. You can make new buddies, a couple of slaps on the back, and a couple of slices of New York style cheese pizza. Okay, whatever, you know, whatever you fancy. You get what I'm saying? Maybe a couple of beers if you're into that. I'm not so much, but. You get what I'm saying? Like, you will have the capacity for joy and happiness in your life. And there's so much possibility. You don't know what's coming, right? And it's so good to not know what's coming. I used to try and know everything that's coming, and that'll put you in a depressive state that you don't have control of your life. Unexpected, you got to have some surprise in your life. You got to have the unexpected happen as well. You can't just have everything go according to plan, okay? So I don't blame the company, okay? And again, I don't blame this gentleman directly for killing himself and leaving his family. I think it's a selfish choice. I don't have to say that. I think it comes from ignorance. I honestly, like, because I feel bad for the guy, right? I mean, he could have lived his free roll life. He could have, like, done things that he never dreamed of doing before. He could have started his own business and said, well, who cares? Like, if I'm going to lose it all anyway, I might as well lose it, right? You know, it's like there's a lot more options out there. He could have just recognized that he has control over his life. Right? And maybe he could have just said, well, heck, let me try this. I mean, instead of killing myself, how about if I just tell my boss, hey, I'm just working 40 hours, dude. That's it. You want to fire me? You want to fire me. That's cool. How about if I at least try that first, right? I think that maybe it would have gone well, but maybe it would have, right? I've done it before. I've worked in environments where they've you try to push you so hard and treat you like, and whip you and make you work 67 hours a week. And I didn't. I refused to. I just did. And I didn't get fired. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that that's always going to happen, but I'm saying that you have the ability to control. You have that. And it's only when you choose to give up your control in life, when you let someone else pull the strings, when you let circumstances dictate your actions, that's when you lose the hope. That's when you lose the happiness, the capacity for happiness. But it's a choice. You have to give that up, right? You always have the choice. Every time, some of you think that, oh, I have to go to work in the morning. You don't have to. You make that choice. You want the money. You want the things. You got the car payment or the rent. You could go and you could live a life, right, where you walk around on the street and you don't work. You could do that. There's people that do that. I see them every single fucking day. Now, is that the best choice in life? Maybe not. But I'm just saying it is a choice. You are making choices. There are lower levels of sustenance. You can go and get a less stressful job, right? There are options, right? For most of us, I mean, all of us have options. We all have the choice. Some of us have better choices. Some of us have only good and great choices compared to the rest of the world. Recognize that, okay? But ultimately, you have the choice. You have the control. Don't blame other people. Don't blame companies. Don't blame people for working you hard. They're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to make profits. They're going to do that, right? It's up to you. If you choose. So I'll give one last message here for those of you that are still contemplating suicide. Try something different first. Give life another chance. Like I said at the beginning here, to be at the point where you've got nothing to lose. I play the best poker. I make the best videos. I do the best work I ever do in my life when I'm playing all in, like I got nothing to lose. You could be so much better. You could be at the point in your life, a turning point where you've got two choices to make. You could make a choice to end it. That's a tragedy. That's a shame. You're going to harm other people, obviously, by doing that. But why would you care when you're dead? I don't know. Like that never seemed like a good argument to me. But the other path that you could choose is to live an unshackled fucking life. How awesome is that? Like, if you're already at that point, right? Then go that road, man. Come on. Really, honestly, like, go that road. I want to see what you do, because that's where we all strive to get to. This is where we should, is to get to that point where we can live unshackled, where we can live without regarding the consequences, and do the things that we've always wanted to do. All right, that's all I got to say about that tragedy when it happens. I appreciate Ati, who emailed me and brought this to my attention. I don't read a lot of news, but this tragedy is a tragedy, like I said. So hopefully I've been of help to you. Hopefully I've been of service to you. That is my mission. That's what I'm about, and I don't want to see more tragedies like this. So there you go. That's all I got to say about that. Click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.